Hello and welcome to End Zone Now. Our guest this week started by studying medicine, but after being inspired by a speech made to Israel's parliament by Egypt's President Anwar Sadat, he decided to work for peace as a diplomat. Ambassador Shalom Cohen is Israel's acting ambassador to New Zealand, and he's got extensive experience as a diplomat in places as far afield as Belgium, Tunisia, his home, Canada, and for 5 years he was Israel's ambassador to Egypt. Well, the last couple of weeks have seen a renewed interest in the Middle East by the Obama administration, and a number of senior US officials, including, of course, the president himself, have been visiting the region. With Iran's nuclear ambitions and continued instability in Syria, there's no shortage of scenarios to give any diplomat nightmares. Well, Ambassador, thank you so much for sparing time to be with us today. America is obviously very concerned about Iran. Are those concerns justified?
Well, Iran presents a huge danger to the world at large, and having nuclear Iran can be something very dangerous to the rest of the world. So, rightly so, United States as the leader of the free world is concerned about the situation and try to prevent it.
One of the things that they talked about, Chuck Hagel, who's the Defense Secretary for the United States,
right.
One of the things he's coming forward with is a huge input of cash to help defence, not just for Israel, but for many other Middle East countries. Do you think America's involvement in that way, is that going to make it better or make it worse in the region?
Well, I think the role of United States at large is to improve the stability in the region. This is what America wants. This is what she's doing. She's the guarantee of the peace and stability in the Middle East as other region in the world. So nowadays, when we are about to renew the peace discussion and the dialogue with the Palestinians, and when we have in front of us a Middle East shaky, that really, in a way, could represent a kind of dangerous situation for the future, where you have all these Islamist radical groups that are trying to take over. So I think that to guarantee Israel and other stable countries, like Jordan and like Turkey and other countries that really want stability and peace in the region, so helping them with offering them ways and abilities to defend themselves, it's going in the right direction.
How do the Arab countries view America? Because America is traditionally very strongly aligned with Israel. So do they see them as interfering with what's going on, or are they happy for that American involvement?
I think usually they have this double view of America. From one side, the Arab population and the inhabitants at large want to be very close and similar to United States. This is the model that the Arab country would like to have as their future. At the same time, you know, they are very anti-American. We know this expression, the small Satan and the big Satan. The big Satan, it's not Israel, it's more America in this in this case. So it's ambivalent, you know. It depends on who you are asking, when you are asking it, and what is exactly the situation on the ground. But at large, I think that the new elected Arab regime would like to cooperate with United States and with the America model and with America as a guarantee, as I was saying, force for stability and peace in the region. A flourishing region in the Middle East is something that all the regime would like to have, and even those regimes who were recently elected in Arab country, who went through the Arab Spring, like in Tunisia and like in Egypt, as we saw, have a very good contacts now with America and with European countries. So at large, I can say that we are on the right direction as answering to your question on America's position.
But then you have Iran, as there it sits there, sort of in the north, with its nuclear ambitions. Would Israel take the first step and make a preemptive attack on Iran? Would Israel strike first if it felt that threatened?
Well, Israel was said more than one time. Iran nuclear ambition, or having Iran as a nuclear state, it's not only a concern of Israel, it's a concern of the rest of the world. And as such, the answer should be an organized response coming from the rest of the world and not only from Israel. I heard more than one time that Obama as a president and other top-level ministers, including lately coming from the White House declaration saying that America will do the utmost to prevent Iran to achieve nuclear weapons. And she will do it by diplomatic way. This is the right direction to do it. But if it will fail and Iran will not really obey to this international desire, so America are not excluding any type of response to this kind of behavior. So let's hope that it will be done really peacefully with a cooperation intelligently without really using force. But I can tell you, Iran nuclear is an international problem, not only an Israeli problem.
You mentioned the Arab Spring, and of course we're seeing now the after effects of the Arab Spring. How is Israel's relationship with Egypt now? Because I mean, obviously you were there between 2005 and right. 2010. There was a lot of change between 2010 and today. So how is that relationship with which was effectively Israel's strongest ally in the Arab world?
Well, Egypt is going through a major changement. I think that Egypt, as the leader of the Arab world, is showing that this changement is doable peacefully. Although we saw here and there, cases of people who were killed and wounded during the uprising and the revolts, but in generally, the Arab Spring took the right direction, excluding other countries that maybe we can talk about them, like Syria and later on. But I can tell you the example of Tunisia and the example of Egypt are something very positive so far, because after all, what happening there is the very fact that the people are taking the political decision to their hands. Now, it happened to be that during the last election, they elected religious parties. It is their entire choice to do so. This is what they wanted to. Now, what we are seeing is that as a result of it, there is what I call a counter-revolution. People now are going to the streets and with slogans anti this very regime that was elected democratically a few months ago. So at whole, what we are seeing is that a very healthy political activity internally of those countries, in Egypt and other Arab countries, that our people are taking responsibility of their future, which is positive. This is what we wanted always.
But we do hear stories we've heard stories of Christians being persecuted and even killed. And I know the Jewish population has shrunk from tens of thousands to just a few dozen now. That would seem to imply that they don't have the freedom that they once had.
Okay, 2 points. Let me tell you. First of all, as someone who lives in Egypt as ambassador for 5 years, I can tell you incidents of conflicts between Muslims and Christians were there before, even before the revolution. it's an ongoing conflict, I would say, for years already between Muslims. There are sometimes neighbor conflicts, and sometimes it goes beyond it, and it's between two group of people or neighborhoods, etc. So it's not new. It is regrettable. We would like not to have or to be there, but it's part of the life in Egypt. I think that it's part of, what they have to be used to deal with, and I think that in the future, once people will understand that they are living in the open, democratic, and liberal society, they will be much more responsible of what they are doing and open to their neighbors. I wish for the Egyptian people to reach this level of democracy, where they really be responsible, and for their political situation, where they will understand that democracy is not only to elect or to be elected, but it's a way of life. And respecting the other, respecting the other religions, accepting the differences, it's part of democracy. And I think that if they will continue in this direction, they will reach this point of understanding.
Our time's almost at an end, but we must talk briefly about Syria. I mean, Syria just appears to be a basket case. It's in real trouble. Do you see a solution there without someone stepping in from outside?
Well, I think Syria is going in a very tough period of time. It's very tragic what's going there. And, we usually do not, we as Israel and Israeli diplomacy or politics, we are not interfering in this kind of going through process of changing regime. It's their own affair. It's internal affair. We wish them that the changement of the situation, moving from one regime to another at all, if this will happen, will be as less with casualty as they can, because we want them the best. We want the people, the Syrian people, as the rest of the Arab world, we wish them the best, to be in the right direction, and we hope they will reach there without really losing life.
Sadly, our time is at an end, but Ambassador, thank you so much for your time today.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
And that's all for this week's programme. We'll see you again next week when someone else will be in the hot seat. If you've got any comments, we'd love to hear them. You can email us on endzonenow, that's all one word, @shinetv.co.nz. Till next time, bye for now.